Today we're diving into a really powerful story from a teacher named Sheetal Jyoti. It's all about a time when the world kind of went silent and how one small, simple act of connection managed to fill that quiet with laughter all over again. Let's get into it. And this quote, it really gets to the heart of our story today. Because teaching, it isn't just about delivering information, right? It's about guiding discovery. And in this case, the big discovery had nothing to do with textbooks, but everything to do with the human heart. I want you to think back for just a second. Can you remember it? That really strange, quiet day when everything just sort of tilted? Our story begins right there, in that shared moment of shock and uncertainty that, we all went through together. So, to really understand what was lost when the world hit pause, we first have to remember what the classroom was like before. It was this buzzing, vibrant little world. The teacher, she called it a glorious mess, which is perfect, isn't it? A space just buzzing with energy, full of giggles and chatter and shared stories about lost teeth. It was that kind of beautiful chaos where you just know real life is happening. And then, literally overnight, that glorious mess, it was gone. This next part is about that jarring shift from a room bursting with life to the cold, quiet glow of a computer screen. It all started with a single sentence. From tomorrow, we will work from home. And those words brought this mix of shock, worry, and honestly, a deep feeling of helplessness. There was no plan B. And wow, the contrast was so stark. That buzzing energy was replaced by total silence. The glorious mess got flattened into these little flickering squares on a screen. And maybe worst of all, those sparkling eyes and that easy laughter, it just got trapped in static. The entire school shrank down into this little 14-inch box. The daily rhythm just became this endless loop of technical glitches and missed connections. All those tiny human moments, the stories about birthdays, the spontaneous giggles, they were just gone. But it's right here, in this moment of feeling completely helpless, that our story takes a turn. A small idea starts to build a bridge across that digital divide, and it transforms the screen from a prison into a portal. The teacher realized she couldn't fix the giant global crisis. Of course not. But she thought, I can do one small thing. And in that one small thought, she started to find her power again. And the action itself? It was incredibly simple. She just scheduled a call on Google Meet. But the reason for that call, that's what made it so powerful. See, this call had absolutely nothing to do with schoolwork. There would be no reviewing assignments, no lesson plans to get through. This was a deliberate step away from all that. The entire purpose was way simpler and, honestly, far more profound. It was to create a space for the kids to just talk, a space for them to just be together again, with no pressure and no agenda. And the result was immediate. As all their little faces popped up on the screen, the silence just shattered. Stories and jokes started tumbling out, and laughter just erupted. It was this huge release, a moment of pure, unfiltered connection. And in that moment, that 14-inch box that had felt like a symbol of isolation, it became a window that life and joy could actually be seen and felt through again. So what did this little moment of magic really reveal? Well, it led to a much, much deeper understanding of what teaching is actually all about. Ultimately, the biggest lesson was this. Teaching isn't really about transferring information from one brain to another. It's about connection. It's about creating a space where hearts can meet, whether that's in a classroom or through a screen. So this experience kind of gave birth to a new definition, that the real job of a teacher is to create an environment of emotional safety, a space where kids feel seen, heard, and valued. Because when you have that foundation, real learning can happen absolutely anywhere. And that brings us to our final takeaway. The biggest lesson from this whole global disruption wasn't really about technology or remote learning strategies. No, it was about something far more fundamental. Because when you strip everything else away, you see it so clearly. The main thing these kids lost wasn't academic. What they craved, what they really truly missed, was just being with each other. And that's maybe the ultimate role of an educator, right? To be a keeper of that joy. to understand that joy just multiplies when you share it, and to protect and build the spaces where that sharing can happen, no matter what the circumstances are.
So we'll leave you with this to think about. In your own life, during those moments of challenge, what were the small, simple acts of connection that made all the difference? What was your version of creating a space just to be? Thanks for listening.